1 billion lions versus the support roster, according to lore. Starting with Alistar. Alistar is a minotaur. He's about 11 feet tall and extremely strong. He's a gladiator. He's well battle tested. He could be anywhere from 100 years old to older, but it's a billion lions, and he in the end is just a pile of flesh. But Bard is a cosmic being. We don't know much about him, but he's as close to a cosmic force of nature that you're going to get in this canon. Very easy for me to say that he is going to win against a billion of any purely mortal creature. Blitzcrank, his ult is canon. We actually see it in the Climb cinematic when he's fighting with Echo, but we don't really know what state he is in now after the Arcane incident. We don't really know what he is. We have to assume he's like what he is in old lore, but we don't really know much. But a giant robot is still gonna die to a bunch of lions, because a billion is a lot. Braum, while he is Iceborn, while he is extremely strong, while he does have one of the coolest feats in canon, blocking an avalanche with his shield. The shield only really faces in one direction, and behind him will be 50 million lions, and in front of him will be 950 million lions. He's just gonna die eventually. Janna is in a really weird spot. She is a spirit, but we don't really know much about her because she was kind of changed before Arcane, and we don't really know enough about what she is now. But we do know that she is a spirit god, and we do know that she's very old, and we do know that she's powered on belief, but she is a spirit god, and we know that lions wouldn't really have an effect on her. Karma. Karma is the name of the spirit of Ionia, and also the name of the avatar of the spirit of Ionia. So the character that we know is the avatar. She channels the spirit of Ionia to do its will. Its will is usually of peace and harmony and maintaining the balance, but the Noxian War kind of changed that. The spirit of Ionia, the host, has been seen doing some crazy things in the past, like defeating armies or putting Syndra to sleep, but this Karma is fairly new. It would take some immense support from the spirit that backs Karma. I just don't know if the host Karma has enough about her to channel that much power to kill that many units of lion, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna put her in 90%, but I do believe she can go one lower. Leona, like her counterpart Diana, does not have infinite stamina. She's a channel for the aspect of the sun. If you just look at her most cinematic fight, she's going toe to toe with Pantheon, but Pantheon isn't really trying. He's not channeling any aspect of war power because at this time in Pantheon's life, he's kind of really depressed. He doesn't really have the power of the aspect right now, but he still loves to rage bait the gods. Anyway, Leona does not have infinite stamina. Leona probably has a sun calling ability like Diana has a moon call ability, but I can't exactly recall when Leona has used that in the lore. But while her abilities could probably kill massive amounts of lions, she does not have infinite stamina. She's not old enough or one with the aspect enough to fight for an infinite or a very long amount of time like that would be required to fight 1 billion lions. Lulu is one of the more magical Yordles, but when Yordles get more magical, they don't always get more powerful. They just get more whimsical. What I'm saying is, like, a more magical Yordle is not going to blast something more powerfully. They are just going to be more whimsical and more difficult to understand. The most relevant ability for Lulu would be her transmodification ability, specifically polymorph. If she was powerful enough to polymorph 1 billion lions, which I doubt, or hugify herself to a kaiju size, I don't think she could do that. She would be able to beat the lions. But you also have to understand that Yordles have this whimsy magic that just allows them to win any fight they're in. It's just so annoying to scale Yordles because you have to include their just win factor because they are magical whimsy Yordles, and it just seems the world wants them to win. So I have to put her here. Maokai. Maokai is one of the most tragic figures of the Blessed Isles. He's a forest spirit that is holding on to the last pure waters of the healing waters of the Blessed Isles. He holds them within his trunks as he slowly gets corrupted by the world around him, with dreams of restoring the Blessed Isles in the forest that used to be around and plentiful in his time. The most tragic moment is when the ruination is happening and you hear a story of Maokai desperately running to the shores to try to escape, but eventually falling on the shores and becoming corrupted. But the waters within him help him hold on to just a sense of who he once was. So now sometimes he fights the ghouls, sometimes he fights intruders, as he ultimately dreams of a Blessed Isles returning to its former glory. Melio is one of the really cool cases where Melio has fire magic that is healing and soothing. And while that's really cool, I don't really think that's going to be useful against a billion lions. Morgana, I put her sister in the highest tier because we have seen her specifically be able to rain down massive AoE fire destruction. And while they are equals, she's arguably just as powerful, but she doesn't seem to have a mass destructive ability. She has those chains that bind singular units like Aatrox, but could that be used to bind or judge or destroy a billion units? I'm not too sure. And while she's not a full aspect herself, she has been a vessel for aspect magic for a very long time, but that's why they are very powerful compared to Leona, who's only been an aspect host for about 60 or 70 years. That's the difference between them. Nami has the Tidecaller staff. Nami is actually really cool because if you didn't know, she has fought the Void before. So between her fighting the Void and having the Tidecaller staff that can control water, that's really cool, that's really powerful, but I don't think it's enough to fight off 1 billion lions. I'm going to put Nautilus in the 90% category, which might be confusing as I put Malphite in a lower category and I put Galio in a lower category, but those two are not supported and powered by the god of motion and the ocean. I personally believe, given that we have seen Nautilus be so many different sizes, that he can control his size. But before I say anything else, if this is a fight in the ocean, there is no contest. Throw 10 billion lions at the ocean, and Nautilus will sit there swinging all day long, unable to be damaged. The lion boat will not affect him. A lion submarine is destroyed in one hit also. So if we assume that Nautilus can change sizes to become even bigger and is powered by the will of the god, I think it's easy to say that Nautilus, who is already dead, cannot be further killed by a bunch of lions. Nico doesn't really have any destructive moments that I can think of, and there isn't really a beast that is big enough for Nico to transform into to allow her to defeat all these lions. It's not like if she saw a big version of Aatrox and then she somehow transformed into Aatrox that she would further adopt all his skills and all his blood bending abilities. I don't think that's how Nico works, but that is like the 1% of 1% of a question of Nico winning this debate, but I don't think that's possible at all. Pike can become intangible and is a murderous psychopath. There is a moment where a captain pulls a pistol and fires it at Pike, and before the bullet reaches Pike, becomes Mist. People know him as the murderous Mist. And it's not like Pike has stamina. He's undead and he's constantly killing. He has been killing for years now, and his list grows ever longer. The question is, can he unfold the list enough to include 1 billion nameless lions? He won't tire. He loves killing. It's just a question of, does he have the 200 or so years to kill all these lions with his jagged knife? I have to say yes. Rakan is a Vestayan battle dancer. He uses his feathers to launch people up in the air and to fight. Him being ancient, him being really old, is not enough to fight off 1 billion lions. Rel is a cool case. You might be thinking, lions aren't metal, so she can't bend the lions. She can't defeat the lions. She could make an armor of metal, protect herself, and then fight off the lions. The problem with that is she does not have infinite stamina. Imagine fighting for what would be 100 years of constant battle in a suit of armor. You would die of exhaustion well before your 50th year. Even if Rel is launching blades into the lion horde over and over and over, if she was in the middle of Nox's prime, launching every piece of metal at the lion horde, she would eventually tire and she would eventually get overwhelmed and die. Renata Glask, what is worse than a billion lions coming at you wanting to kill you? A billion lions that are chemically augmented to be even more ravenous coming to kill you. He just dies. The most important part of the billion lions fight is stamina. How long can you fight? We have seen Senna tire, and while she is part ghoul and empowered by Isolde's spirit, she has been seen tiring, and I do believe that she can be harmed by physical attacks. Unfortunately, I believe Senna becomes lion food. Seraphine is so easy. Her magical ability is empathy. You are not going to empathize with a billion lions that want to rip your face off. Sona has her magic. Part of her magic involves contorting people and forcing them into awkward positions through her magic, as you see in some of her short stories, but it's just not going to be effective against a massive horde of lions. Soraka is close to Bard in the fact that they are both celestial beings that we don't know much about. Soraka appears randomly in stories as sort of like a harbinger of fate. When Callista is going to the Blessed Isles, she gives her a warning of, this will change your life forever. You could turn back now and have a life that you desire, or you can continue and change the fate of the world forever. She also appears when Syndra is about to wake up. She appears to the people of Phaelus AOA lore and tells them about how their fate will change depending on what actions they will take. So I don't think she controls fate, but I think she's a witness to fate. She is the seer. She sees fate, but she does not really act upon it. She allows you to act upon it given the information she blesses you with. But she is a celestial being, so she would go at the very top. Swain. I can't give you a direct source, but I have seen rioters mention that Swain will fall victim to a large army. His main power is knowing the secrets of those around him and the secrets of the world, basically. His omniscience is compared to that of Aurelian's soul, as he is bound to the demon of secrets that knows pretty much everything. But he has been said to have the fighting capacity to defeat a small army, and this is 1 billion lions. Tariq is about the age of Garen, which means that he has not been bound to the aspect of the protector for that long. So like I said in a previous video, when you host an aspect, your power scale is based on how long you have been the host and how much your ideals align with the aspect. So while Tariq is really protective of things of beauty, he has not been a host for that long, meaning he is not supremely powerful. And all these mortal hosts have stamina, and like I said earlier, again, stamina is the most important part of this fight. He just does not have it. Speaking of stamina, Thresh should have infinite stamina because he is a ghoul. Also, after the Ruination, the true victor of the Ruination event is Thresh. With Viego gone, Thresh is able to absorb the powers of the mist and leave the Blessed Isles. That's why we see him in the Noxian Tavern. He's able to roam free outside of the Harrowing and outside of the Blessed Isles. So he's even more powerful than he was before, and lions couldn't hurt him either way because he is undead. Yumi. Yumi is a magical cat. She is magical because she was born in Bandle City. Otherwise, she's a normal cat. She has magical projectiles, she has magical shields, and she has Book. What Book does is allow her to teleport. And is teleporting away really a victory? I wouldn't really count it. Could she teleport all the lions to a dimension of lion eaters? Maybe. Could she open the portal of Book and allow those lion eaters to jump out and protect her? I don't really know, but I highly doubt that's a possibility because all we've seen is Yumi using Book to teleport to other regions, not really summoning things out of Book as far as I can remember. So I'm going to put her here. Zillion. Zillion can quite literally just go into a time stasis and wait for about 100 years and have all the lions be dead on their own. He is extremely broken and he uses his time powers to great effect. Zyra. I don't really know much about Zyra, but she does control plant life. There's a garden of, I believe it's pronounced Zir, that was affected by magic and now has a mind of its own. But I don't know to what extent Zyra controls plant life in general. Like if she was in control of the entire Amazon forest, she could probably kill 1 billion lions. But if she is solely in control of the Garden of Zir, which is not that big, I do believe she's lion food. I'm going to put her here, but I don't know much about her. Maybe in the final version of this list, I will put her lower. But this is the list currently. Who have I forgotten? Because I keep forgetting champions. And what do you have questions about? What do you disagree with? I'll see you in the final ADC video before we start a new series. Thank you for watching. And thank you all these commenters.